Meeting new people and encouraging them when they are down has never been a problem for me. I love to stand at the door of the church and shake hands, handing out bulletins and listening to the stories of their lives. I love everything positive, and actually conflict makes me nervous. Like whenever I sense that someone else is uncomfortable or sad, well, that makes me sad and uncomfortable. God, in His great sense of humor, has blessed me with people around me throughout the years who are direct opposites of me. They'll tell it like it is, even if it steps on someone else's toes. They give out opinions freely while I cringe and stand ready to pick up the pieces if the other person seems offended. I feel like I must be a watchman so that those rude people don't hurt anyone else's feelings. I saw those others as obstacles to my goals of nurturing and positive affirmation. I even prayed for them that God would make them more like me. Then I learned about spiritual gifts. Well, first of all, what are spiritual gifts? Well, when we accepted Christ into our lives, right off, He blessed us with gifts. I love people like that. You meet them and immediately they hand you a gift. Think of them as tools or equipment for your future role as a son or daughter of God. Just as you need a racket for tennis or a club for golf, God is not going to send you out with the Great Commission to work for Him without something to work with. I mean, I wouldn't tell my kids to sweep the kitchen floor with no broom. And God, in the same way, won't tell us to do certain things for Him without equipping us. But here's point number 2. Spiritual gifts are to be used alongside other people's gifts, complementary gifts. Paul explains it well in 1 Corinthians 12. He says how there are many different kinds of gifts, but they all come from God. Their purpose is to help others. And just like the physical body has different members, the church does too. I mean, who in their right mind would expect an eye to walk or an ear to see? Each part of the body has a different function, all for the good and health of the body. The parallel is a great one, and a great reliever of guilt too. Verse 24 says, God has combined the members of the body and has given greater honor to the parts that lacked it, so that there should be no division in the body, but that its parts should have equal concern for each other. As we can see, our gifts were created by God. It was His idea to make you who you are. Also, they were not created to be used alone. It's not God's plan to have stressed out and burned out Christians. I saw a great example of gifts working together when a woman from our church had a high-risk pregnancy and was bedridden for the last 3 months. She had 3 active kids, a husband who worked long hours, and was devastated, no, panicked, by the news that she was only to leave the couch for 5-minute intervals for those 3 months. Well, thankfully, she had a diverse number of friends. One, with the gift of service, took on the role of shuttling her kids to and from soccer practice and to school. Another, with the gift of administration, organized a rotating meal schedule among the other members with the gift of service. A woman filled with the gift of mercy came to just sit with her and talk and hold her hand when fear of her unborn baby seemed overwhelming. One man with the gift of giving donated money for a maid to come once a week to help the husband keep up with the household chores. This is a perfect example of how we can rejoice in diversity. I mean, what if everyone only had the gift of mercy and wanted to come and hold her hand and do nothing else? Where would the sense of encouragement be for the family? Wouldn't they just feel frustrated that people claimed they cared but never showed it? But when we bring everyone together, we see a job well done. Well, thirdly, we need to accept our gifts and live how God has wired us. On Christmas morning, when we see our children opening the gifts we've carefully selected for them according to their personalities and likes, how would we feel if they immediately looked to their sibling's gift and said, "But what about his? I like that one." Well, I'd be hurt and chagrined. Along the same lines, spiritual gifts don't compete. This is God's work, and He gets to decide how He would like to use each one of us. A foreman at a construction site doesn't expect to hear arguments from his workers about how he would like to do someone else's job instead of his own. Building the church is God's construction site, not ours. If we truly believe it's all about Him, we won't compete, but rather rejoice when others succeed. I can welcome the people through the door of the church and do my part well, but when the pastor uses his gifts of exhortation and brings the message of salvation home, I feel nothing but satisfaction that our gifts work together. Pastors don't have time to hand out bulletins and run out the door after church to give words of affirmation or meet every need of the members. So God has placed each of you there to work alongside Him. How can you know what your spiritual gifts are? There are, I believe, 4 key questions that help you discover what they are. First of all, think back throughout your life to when your work has been fruitful. What work have you done in the past that bore results? Secondly, what gives you energy and joy? I feel like I could talk to people all day long and not tire of it. Working within your gifts will leave you feeling energized, not worn out and frustrated. Thirdly, what do your friends say your strengths and gifts are? Everyone has to start somewhere, and don't be afraid of what may seem like failure. Just get busy. Choose a ministry that appeals to you, and soon you'll get a feel for what your spiritual gifts are. The only failure is in failing to try. We've been recruited to be a part of the best army in the universe with the equipment assured for victory. How's that for motivation?